What does Plato think of democracy? Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about that using the example of the ship of state from Book 6 of the Republic. And as you can see, we have a disapproving Plato. Guys, he's not the biggest fan. So we're going to start with our ship. This is our ship, and this is going to serve as an analogy for the actual hypothetical city that they've built, which is an analogy for the soul. And so, our first character that I'm going to introduce you to is the captain of the ship. He's the boss, he's the main guy, and he has the most power on the ship. But he's not the most competent. In fact, reading from 488b of the Republic, the ship owner is bigger and stronger than everyone else on board, but he's hard of hearing, a bit short sighted, and his knowledge of seafaring is equally deficient. So he has the most power, but he doesn't really know what he's doing, and he's a little bit ignorant. They say he's deaf and slightly blind. But because of his power and his ignorance and lack of knowledge, the sailors are constantly fighting with one another about who should be steering the ship, and they're going up to the captain telling him, "You should pick me," even though they also know nothing about the art of navigation. And what's interesting about the sailors is they don't even think that it's something that can be taught. And if anyone tries to say that one can learn navigation, they will cut him down. And it says that they will try to execute or throw anyone overboard that tries to get the ship owner to put them in charge, because each individual sailor wants to be the one in charge. They're highly competitive and they want power. Now, why does this little guy have a wine bottle? Because something else the sailors do is after they've eliminated all of their obstacles, the other sailors, they're gonna try to get him a little tipsy. They're gonna try to drug up the captain so that they can take control. And once they take control, the sailors are going to deem themselves captains, and they're gonna start being the ones saying that I know navigation, call me the captain, and I'm gonna steer the ship, when in reality they're just getting drunk and feasting because they really have no idea what they're doing when it comes to sailing. But you know who does have an idea of what they're doing? The Stargazer. So the Stargazer, everyone kind of thinks he's just lame. He's just looking up at the sky. What is this guy doing? He's such a bum. He just, lays down all day. But what he's really doing is he is looking at the constellations. He has knowledge of what these things mean and how they help you navigate the seas. So the Stargazer is the true navigator and theoretically should be the true captain. But the Stargazer doesn't want power. He's not vicious like the sailors, and he's not already in power like the captain, so he kind of just gets swept under the rug while the sailors take control with no knowledge of what they're doing, and while the captain just stays drunk, letting the sailors do whatever. So we've met all of our characters on this ship that seems to be going nowhere. What does this mean? What do these things represent? Well, first and foremost, our captain is going to represent the people in democracy. Theoretically, the people have the power in a democratic state. Our sailors are going to represent the politicians with their persuasive rhetoric, trying to captivate the people, trying to get them drunk with their words so that they can lead the way, even though they have no knowledge of the true things. The stars represent these true things, truth and the forms. The politicians lack this. They say, don't think about those things, just listen to me. There's no way of knowing that. But the philosopher truly knows these things. So you can begin to see Plato's problem with democracy. It puts the people in charge, but the people don't really know the important things like truth and the forms. The politicians don't either, and they take advantage of the people. Of truth and forms, but in this scenario, this democratic scenario, they don't get to. We'll see that Plato opts for an aristocracy rather than a democracy where the philosopher rules, something that prioritizes virtue and knowledge of the good over appetite of dominance and ignoring expertise of higher things. And remember, guys, this is all still an analogy for the soul and its need for a rational ruler. I hope this made sense. This was the Ship of State from Book 6, and I'll see you guys in the next video.